Indeed, when Father Tefo said about emotional intelligence and conflict resolution, I was very upset. I would not like to lie because of the experience I had with you. With all the CWA. And I felt like this was the work of the big boss because it really means something to each and every community or each and every diocese. I'm talking of two topics that affect two different people. The first one is the one who's saying. The second one is the one who's receiving. And I know in most cases it happens not intentionally, but simply because of a certain pride someone has. It happens because some of the status, you know, Father Joshua spoke a lot about the status. By the way, no one can tell me like this, I'm a doctor. I'm a father. I'm a CEO. I'm Leonard. All those things do not help us in CWA. In fact, they will not take us to heaven, whether you are a doctor or not. It's not your doctorate that will take you to heaven. It also happens because you have a tendency of thinking that the money of the church belongs to you. CWA money belongs to the church. It's the church money. And sometimes you speak very rudely about the church money. You cannot give the sacrifice and look at the ashes. You know what happens with Abraham? He used to climb the mountain to give the sacrifice. He will carry the lamb and they will put the sacrifice. Instead of looking at the ashes, he will look into heaven and expect the blessings that will come from heaven. But the problem that creates all these conflicts is because we are looking at the ashes. If you don't believe me, go and read Canon Law 222. Why? It's an obligation. It's your obligation to give money. It's written in Canon 222. It's your obligation to give money. But that money is for 4 reasons. 1, it's for divine worship. 2, it's for formation. 3, it's for taking care of the church. I like number 4. It's for the priests. It's written in Canon Law. I'm just quoting Canon Law. I was never there when the Canon Law was written. I'm just quoting the Canon Law. So therefore, what is the emotional intelligence? By the way, let me start by telling you this. I was born in Newcastle in Madadeni. In Madadeni, I was born in section 5, the location called section. In Madadeni, there is a very huge hospital. And this hospital was very famous some years ago of taking care of his intlanya, those who have mental disturbances. Now this hospital, because it was very important, it used to collect those people with mental disturbances from different areas of South Africa. So it had to be extended. The hospital was well extended. It was well fixed and nice looking. Then they decided to build also the swimming pool in the hospital. But there were these 2 guys. One was, he used to really enjoy reading, but unfortunately could not read. The second one used to enjoy swimming, but unfortunately could not swim. For you to swim, you need 2 things: the skill and the swimming costume. So this guy was sitting there reading. Let me name this guy Tabo. And as Tabo was busy reading, he saw Tato. Tato is the one who could not swim, jumping inside the swimming pool without 2 of these important skills. 1, the skill of swimming. 2, the swimming costume. As soon as Tato entered the water, he started sinking. he was almost dying trying to go out of the swimming pool. And Thabo was looking at Tato like this and was like, gosh, this guy, he lacked these two skills and he jumped inside the water. Therefore, Thabo jumped inside the water, took out Tato, and he started doing, you know, these things of pumping here. And then he tried and pump Tato. Luckily, Tato survived. And then Thabo continued reading his newspaper. Then the doctors came inside and said to talk to Thabo while he was sitting in his room. They said, Thabo, we have good news and bad news. Which one you would love to hear first? He said, I would love to hear the good news first. And then the doctor said, the good news is that we are releasing you because we have discovered you are no longer crazy. The act that you have helped Tato from sinking, it's a sign of you now you have. And Thabo started dancing inside the house and started packing his things, saying, but I've told them long time ago I'm not crazy, now I'm going home. And no one could believe me when I tell them I'm not crazy. Look, now I'm going home. He started packing. And the doctor said, but we still have bad news. He said, okay, what are the bad news? He said, the bad news, unfortunately, after you have helped Tato to survive, Tato decided to commit suicide. We found that Tato hanging there on the tree with the rope. He committed suicide. And Thabo said, no, doctors, you are confusing things. He didn't commit suicide. You know, when I took him out of the water, he was so wet that I have to hang him. Some of us, we have a thought of thinking we are helping and yet we are destroying. And that's what has been happening many times in our meetings. I'm from an AGM where I saw many people speaking and I was like, this man is Thabo. He's simply destroying and thinking he's helping. The emotional intelligence is the ability for us to identify, to understand, and to manage the use of our own emotions. You speak anyhow, and you are not identifying that, you know, the way I'm speaking now, I'm fighting simply because I'm angry. I understand I'm angry, and how can I manage those emotions? Because the aim of this emotional intelligence is for us to be very careful on how we communicate to one another and how much am I going to affect the person next to me. And there are a few key points on this emotional intelligence. One is self-awareness, recognizing your own emotions. And women have a problem of not recognizing their emotions. You have a problem not recognizing your moods. You have a problem of not recognizing how much impact my emotions, my mood will have to someone else. This is not going. How can you speak to women, other women like that? And before someone starts, he will say, Holy Spirit. He invites the Holy Spirit and kick away the Holy Spirit and speak anyhow. That is our problem. So you need to identify that the fact that the president, the treasurer has given this report, it has hurt you. Deal with your emotions first before you speak. Because if you don't give it, that's why I wish sometimes, especially in the AGMs, you know, someone will stand up and say, why should we give Father so much stipend and Father is sitting there? Gosh, are you not having any emotions, any feelings of how that person will feel? How can the executive use so much money in traveling? I mean, couldn't you have a way of asking that question? It's because you don't care about other people's emotions. The important person is you and you alone. 2 is self-regulation, managing or redirecting disruptive impulses or moods, allowing you to think first before you act, to think first before you talk. You know, Father Joshua said before, if you are angry or you count up to 10 before you speak. For me, I advise you pray Hail Mary before you speak, because sometimes we also need the humility of our mother before we speak. So instead of counting to 10, pray Hail Mary and ask the mother to help you to be as humble as she was. Number 3 is motivation. A passion to work for reasons beyond status, beyond money, beyond power. And that passion, it's the Holy Spirit, the CWA. Whatever I'm going to speak, whatever I'm saying, is not about my status, it's about our sodality, it's about our CWA. If you do not have that motivation behind, you will do anyhow. You see, a person who loves CWA, and I know that in our report there is also the point written recruitment, isn't it? The person who loves CWA will not feel happy by seeing the members of CWA leaving simply because of how I spoke or because of how I act. So the motivation behind of any talk, of any thing that we say should be, but I need to speak well so that I do not hurt my own sisters, because I want us to grow. Then, number 4 is empathy. Empathy is different than sympathy, by the way.
Yes.
Because some people, they have sympathy too much, and that is part of the destroying means. No, Hashem, we need to understand, he's poor, Hashem. So the poor, that is sympathy, isn't it? Whereby someone will not, But empathy is understanding the emotional make-up of other people and treating them according to their emotional reaction. Empathy is not you saying, but we understand, when she's angry. That is not empathy. But empathy is you entering in her shoes and understanding where she comes from, why she's, because some conflicts, we have conflicts simply because, when Father Mandla is speaking, he was shouting at us. It's not an empathy. Empathy would be like, this one is a Zulu, and the Zulu speak like this. When I went to Italy for the first time, I thought that the Italians were fighting, and I couldn't understand the Italian, so I thought they were fighting. And when they were speaking, they were doing like this. I was like, oh gosh, I wonder what is happening here. And you go to another place, I wonder what is happening, and that's just the way they speak. So empathy would be like, I understand him. He's an Italian, and Italians speak like this. You understand? And then social skills. Proficiency in managing relationships, building networks, and finding common grounds. Now, when we have a certain discussion that we have, it is always good that we use our social skills not for our own pride, but for the good of the problem we have. For an example, I always tell them in my parish this: when are you able to use your work skills for building the church? Most of you use your work skills for us to know who you are, but not for building the church. If we have financial problem, couldn't we ask someone from the bank to help us? Couldn't ask one of those who are working as auditors to help us? Why should you say, as an auditor, I thought about this, there's something wrong there? No. Help us to solve that problem. Importance and benefits of this emotional intelligence. One, it's for us to make better decisions and becoming an effective leaders. And also, for us not to burn out in being leaders of our sodality. It was interesting when I was listening to the opening speech of my president. There's something interesting she said. She said, as we are journeying, like the disciples of Emmaus, as we are journeying, we will find difficulties and challenges on the way. I'm putting it in my own words. Don't say, I'm not quoting you, I'm just analyzing. We will find difficulties on the way. We are journeying towards Emmaus. As disciples of Emmaus, we will find rain. We will find the sun will be hot. We will be exhausted. We will be thirsty. but we need each other. So I found that it's interesting that for us to be good leaders, we need to recognize when we are bent out. This mom president is not shouting because she wants to shout. She's tired. The treasurer is not shouting because of what? Because she's exhausted. So we need to help each other to discover that. It's also good for relationships. It helps us to communicate, navigate change, and resolve any conflict. It's also good for our own health. Emotional intelligence is good for our own health. Some of you have high blood pressures because you couldn't have a way of having the emotional intelligence. So it's good for our own. It improves emotional regulation. It leads to better physical and psychological well-being. Improving emotional intelligence can be learned and strengthened through patience. Practice, you practice it. It can be learned. Do not say, but Father Mina, I'm like this. It can be learned. And also, it can be strengthened. You need to practice mindfulness, increase self-awareness by observing your own emotions without judgment. So you need to practice mindfulness, okay? Be aware of it. And then one of the skills we have always been saying since the beginning of this leadership workshop, an active listening. Focus on understanding others. Not just hearing words, but focus on understanding others. Give yourself a chance of things not being about you, but being about others. Understand rather than to be understood. And then we develop the empathy, as I've spoken about it, especially in considering the feelings and viewpoints of others, of other people. And then please manage your stress. Yeah. You know, when you are sitting in certain meetings, you could just understand that the problem here is in managing the stress. You are too much stressed. You come, sorry to quote this name, you come and sit down and you hear, I think fathers have experienced it, you hear in the AGM, mothers are fighting, they are fighting because there was supposed to be a dot there, and then dot was not put. That's why we have a problem now, because the dot is not there. Why this dot is not there? Because from the beginning we had this dot, and this dot was... Whether the heads are like this, or they are like this, or they are like that. Your problem is you are not managing your stress. You sit down here. The purpose of each and every one of us should be of building the society. Now these conflicts come, we bring all these conflicts here. We need a way of solving them. You mothers, sometimes you speak to each other and it really pays to me as a priest when I'm listening. You find a leader even shaking because of your questions. And we give you an opportunity to come here and you are fading. I'm talking to the leaders who have been abusing previous leaders. Now is your opportunity. I'm talking to the leaders who have been abusing other leaders when they were on the floor. Now it's your opportunity. But we are saying, let us go back home to our own diocese and teach them how to resolve conflicts. I want us to resolve our conflicts. I like what Father Joshua did. He quoted the Bible. And I will do the same so that you don't go around saying, Father Mandla said this. I want us to find the skills of resolving our conflicts in the Bible way. By the way, the Bible tells us in Matthew chapter 18, verse 15, if you have a problem with your sister or your brother, first you alone go to her, talk to her, try to resolve the problem with her. And if she doesn't listen to you, call a few members of CWA whom you trust. Go with those members, talk to her. And if she doesn't listen to those members again, now you can tell the whole community. You guys, you jump the steps of the Bible. You tell the whole community before going to your own brother or sister. My experience as a priest, I will hear some conflict from the bishop before I was even told. I'm not even aware, but the whole community knows that Father is so and so. Which Bible are you reading when? The Bible is telling us first, confront the person personally. Father, unfortunately, I was hurt the way you spoke to me. I didn't like the way you spoke. No, you don't tell me that I can't speak. I'm a father here. Okay, Father. This is what the Bible tells us, isn't it? Okay, Father. Parish Council Executive, I have a problem. I went to Father, and Father couldn't listen to me. Please come. And you come with the executive. I'm sitting there. Father, so and so has a problem. The way you spoke. The fact that you are executive, you mean nothing to me. Okay, Father. Then you can go to the bishop, to the dean, from the dean to the bishop. Then you jump the steps, you will fall with your faces. When you jump the ladder, you fall. We wonder what is happening. This person has noticed. He fell down. He spoke when he was not supposed to. So it is. The Matthew chapter 18 verse 15, it's a direct and private communication. If your brother or your sister sins, go and point out their fault just between the two of you. You start talking back, you started fighting. Some fight physical and gradually. With the skates up, physically, simply because they couldn't have an opportunity to go one-on-one. And what sometimes hurts me is that you will find that they are fighting because of the boyfriend outside the church. I mean, I don't have a husband because this one took my husband. What that has to do with us? What that has to do with us? Seriously. You fail to solve your problems outside there, and now we start bringing them to the so that it is not fair. Others fight because they are neighbors, and the neighbor, the chicken of the neighbor went to the garden, and this one is planting the spinach, and they ate the spinach. And this one, instead of going to the neighbor and said, my neighbor, let us solve the issue of the chicken and the spinach, they come to bring it to CWA. And some fools join the groups without knowing. Prompt reconciliation. It is in Matthew chapter 5 verse 24. If you know you have a problem with your brother or your sister, don't bring your offertory here. Leave your offertory first in front of the altar. Go first and go and reconcile with your brother or your sister. If God cannot accept your offertory, how can we accept you? You need to reconcile first. I've been speaking about this, but the Bible also quotes it. Managing your anger. Number 3. It's a private communication with your brother or your sister. Prompt reconciliation. You have to reconcile. 3. You have to manage your anger. In Ephesians chapter 4 verse 26, in your anger, do not sin. You sinned because you are angry. Insulting someone, the Bible tells us if you call your brother or your sister a fool, you are exactly the same as someone who have killed. It's because of your anger. Do not let the sun go down. Do not go to bed while you are angry. How many times do we go to bed while we are angry? How many times we insult each other because of our anger? Number 4, it's a gentle communication. Proverbs chapter 15 verse 1, which Father quoted already. It's a gentle answer turns away any wrong, but a harsh word stirs up some anger. So you must have gentle communication. I'm not saying you should not pinpoint what is wrong, but the manner of approach. How do you speak? And then the next one is humility and self-examination. In Matthew chapter 7 verse 3, the Bible tells us, why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention in the plank on your own eye? Most of us, we can see the dirtiness of our neighbors, but we forget to look at our own dirtiness. And then this one, I think it's more important for me. Forgiveness. In Colossians chapter 3, verse 13, bear with each other and forgive one another. Forgive as the Lord has forgiven you. God has forgave you. God forgave you. You also have to forgive your own sisters. And I mean, Father, you just don't understand. I will never forgive her. I will never. It is not right. That is not the way. And then Father also quoted this. I don't know why she read my notes before coming. But Father also quoted James chapter 1 verse 19 about the active listening. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. You have to be quick in listening and slow. And then I have 5 steps which I've mentioned. 5 steps for conflict resolution. 1, check your own heart first. Check your own heart. And you can also read Matthew chapter 7 verse 5. Check your own heart. Seriously, am I ready to have an enemy in CWA? Simply because of this little conflict? Check your personal introspection. 2, go directly to the person privately. Remember, any conflict that we might have, check your own heart. Go directly to the person privately. 3, please use kind words. The manner of approach. Speak the truth in a very kind manner. 4, whatever conflict you had, forgive quickly. Let me tell you the experience of forgiveness. You know, if you forgive someone who has hurt you, it's not only for the benefit of that person, it's also for your personal benefits. Number 5, you seek peace. You will never have peace if you do not forgive. Let me make an example. You had someone in CWA who have hurt you, and then we gather here today. We have a good life, a social life, maybe we have music, we are dancing, and that person just popped in here. Will you still feel happy as you were before she entered? But if you have forgiven that person, you will say, you are also here. Fine, you are welcome.